Welcome to Everyday Ethics, everyone, and let's just dive right in and get started. I'm your host, Michael Leibowitz, and with us today is the wonderful Persephone. Persephone, the floor is yours.
Okay, so yesterday we were talking about this author friend of mine who, this author who is terrible at her job but wants to be published, right? And
Yes.
we were discussing later on in private and said that we're going to take on publishing the book and do a lot of edits. And we got onto the topic of whether that is unethical to edit a book to the point where it is unrecognizable, which is what I had said.
You're basically rewriting the book.
We're basically rewriting the book.
Yeah.
Yes. And we got onto the topic of whether ghostwriting is unethical.
Yes.
And you said that it is. You said that it is unethical.
Yes.
Um, Can you talk about why you think that ghostwriting is unethical?
Okay, but first, can you tell me exactly what ghostwriting is?
Ghostwriting is you come to me and you say, I would like to write a book about my experience in prison, but I don't have the technical skill. I don't have the I don't have the skill to turn my thoughts and my vision into a good book. So we have like multiple phone calls, or we have multiple meetings. You give me all of your thoughts, and I take your thoughts and I turn them into a book. So it's your thoughts, your ideas, your whatever, but it's my grammar and syntax.
Okay, and does the book say by Michael Leibowitz or by Persephone, or Persephone shares Michael Leibowitz's views, or anything along those lines?
Ghostwriting, in the traditional sense, no, it will say by Michael Leibowitz.
Okay. So how is that not lying? Is what I want to know.
In the traditional sense, it is lying. It is deception. Um
In the traditional sense, it's
in
deception.
yes, in the traditional sense, it is deception. The reason that I wanted to talk about this is that it is it is a huge profession, ghostwriting.
Okay.
It is, and I know that that's a shitty excuse for unethical behavior, like
It is.
everybody does it.
Yeah.
But if if it is your thoughts and your ideas, I write them down, I give them to you, and you say, I don't like the way you've phrased this, change that to something more along the lines of blah blah blah. How important is it really that I am the one who strung the sentences together when all of the ideas and thoughts and vision is yours?
Okay. So remind me there's something I want to tell you because I want to address what you just said, and then I want to piggyback or want to go back and address something else. So a book is not just ideas on paper. If it were, then the person you're talking about could just write down, put them a list. I believe this, and not a thing would sell. Nobody would care. A book is the compilation of thoughts in such a way as to make it appealable for somebody to read. It's not just ideas. In the specific case, you're talking about a book of fiction that you've told me sucks, that the story is bad, but you guys are basically going to redo the entire plot. The problem is now you're doing that for her as she presents this to the world as her work. It's dishonesty. I don't know how else you can view it or cut it. You're saying, well, but why? It's your ideas. Okay, but then if it's no big deal, if it's just my ideas, then why not put on the cover, these are my ideas presented by such and such? There's two reasons that I could think of right off the bat. One, the publishing company or the person doing the ghostwriting wants to make money off the person's name, and the person wants to sell the book based on their name and wants to create the impression in other people's minds that that person has accomplished this. Neither of those are true.
So my best friend over there, Boost, she says it reminds me of people using ChatGPT to write their books. Yes, this is another.
Yeah, I hate that too. I see people do that. They feed their ideas into an LLM, and they say, "Oh, write a story for me," and then it does it. And I think that's despicable. I don't think it's despicable if you were to say, if you were to do it, right? Say you went to ChatGPT and you said, these are my basic thoughts on this. Please put this into a logical format for me. And then you posted it to X, and you said, I fed ChatGPT my ideas and asked it for a logical argument, and this is what it gave me. Okay, but you're not doing that. You're presenting it as if this is your accomplishment. It's more than just your accomplishment in relation to what you think. It's your accomplishment in being able to take what you think and format it into a certain genre, namely a book, and that you're not, it's beyond mere editing. Because if you're talking about editing, you're talking about grammar, syntax, spelling, and the book says edited by such and such, so that it's being edited, and that's a different thing than actually rewriting the book for somebody.
So James Valiant asks an excellent question, which I wanted to follow up with. Is there a difference between professional editing and writing a work of fiction for someone? I've given ideas and formulations to several writers. So my follow-up question to this was, at what point does editing become,
Yes.
like, at what point does editing cross the line?
Yeah, and you're looking again, we go over this quite frequently, for something that doesn't often exist, is this specific point where it crosses over. And you often don't know that. But if you're approaching that point, I'd say be careful. And Jim brought up giving ideas. Let me just say, Jim Valiant helped Leonard Peikoff with an essay that Leonard wrote. At the end, and Jim didn't give any ideas to this. That wasn't it. These were Leonard's ideas. And in the text, Leonard said, I would like to thank Jim Valiant for his help. That's just with debating and arguing ideas, not with actually rewriting it for him. And he's still giving credit. You're talking about presenting somebody else's work as your own. Not you, particular Persephone, but your average person. Now, let me just pivot back a little bit to what you said earlier. Now, before coming on the air, you and I were talking about Donald Trump. And you and I were talking about how bad he is. And you said to me, one of the things you can't stand is when you criticize him, when somebody comes and says, oh, but how bad are the Democrats? Do you not see the similarity between that and saying, yes, but this is an industry and all kinds of people are doing it? Who cares? If it's wrong, it's wrong. I don't care if the whole country says it's okay. In my view, if you are presenting your ideas, if you're presenting a piece of work as if it's your own and it is not, you're lying. And you, at some level, know this is a problem, because if you didn't, you would put on the book ghostwritten by Charlie Jim Bob or whatever the hell his name is. But you're not doing that. Why?
Yeah. I can't argue with you there, because yes, you are selling the book on your own name. Look at Donald Trump and The Art of the Deal. People wouldn't have bought a book that was like The Art of the Deal, like broadly inspired by Donald Trump but written by some
Right.
random
And by
fuck.
the way, that random fuck says that it's all bullshit now. The Trump is just a liar. So not only did he ghostwrite it, but he put somebody's lies out into the world. Or he's a liar, but I know Trump, so
So I I think my issue with
I
I'm
know
gonna
your issue. Do you want me to tell you your issue with
tell me
this?
tell me my issue.
You stand to get paid and make money off of this work, and therefore it creates a conflict in your mind where you don't want to just say, "I'm not going to do this." That's what I
So,
think. That
uh,
that's what
so
that's what I
so
think.
with this author, we would not be paid.
You're not getting.
We
Oh, no, no, no. You're
Yeah,
but
so we spoke about the indirect benefits,
yes,
right?
but payment isn't just in terms of money. You stand to benefit immensely from this book,
Yes.
and ultimately financially.
We hope. But
But that's why you're
yes,
doing it.
well, I
You're
mean,
not doing it as a favor. Your company's not saying, "Oh, we
no.
really want to be altruistic and nice, so we're going to ghostwrite this book for you and put it out into the public as if it's yours."
When we ghostwrite, because that is that is a service that my company offers. My company does offer. Hi, Tammy. My company
Your company does not offer a high Tammy.
No, unfortunately, we cannot ship high Tammys to globally. No, so it is a service that my company offers. We do ghostwriting. Um, and putting aside the money issue, like whether I make money on it, I think my problem is that when I think of a book and whether I want to purchase a book, the plot and the characters are more important than the grammar and the syntax. So I'm buying a book based on the ideas. So I put more value on whether the person is able to create like valuable ideas,
Mm-hmm.
valuable than whether they can construct a sentence well. You know what I mean? And I think that's my issue because do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because I feel like I'm expressing myself badly.
No, what you're saying is that in your personal view, it's the ideas that matter, and so you're basically saying that what you're doing, you're not altering the ideas. Okay, that's fine. That's you. You're one person, and your view of when you go and buy the book has nothing to do with the people writing and putting the book out there. Now, I mean, I could just think of one very quickly problem with this on how people could end up screwed. If you let's what's her name, Joan Crawford. Let's say the name of your author is Joan Crawford, right? And now you've put out this great piece of work that's been ghostwrited or ghostwritten rather for her, and it's a big success. The next time now she goes out and writes a book and she says from the best-selling author of X. But now this one hasn't been ghostwritten. So people now buy this book based on the fraud that you've committed and they all get screwed.
I'm pretty sure that's happened.
I'm pretty sure it has, and it's not cool. It's just not cool to be dishonest in this way. It's just not ethical. I mean, you know, I'm not the best sentence formulator myself. You know what I mean? And I could go and write a book and have somebody, and I could submit it to ChatGPT and have it jazz it all up and then say, "Oh, look at me." It's just not. It's not authentic. It's not who I am. It's not representative of what I'm doing. And people absolutely do pay attention to the authors of books. They come to. I mean, I look Leonard Peikoff, somebody I admire for this book he wrote, even though they weren't his ideas. Now, what if come to find out he didn't even write the book? But,
Mm.
some guy that was sitting in his living room did, but that guy didn't have the connection to Ayn Rand that Leonard did. Well, then then my admiration for this guy is a fraud. It's based on nothing. I would have flown to California to meet somebody based on a fraud. And there's so many different areas where this people act on this stuff. Lies cannot, they're not just contained in a box, they spread and they affect more people. And when this person is found out for what they do, now people won't trust that person any longer. And when you're found out, there's people that won't trust you.
Hmm. So ghostwriting happens for a lot of things, right? It doesn't just happen for books. Um, what do you think? I'll circle back to this. I I need to formulate my thoughts. Okay,
Formulate
so
those thoughts.
formulate those thoughts. Is there anything else that that same thing applies to? That was badly
I
formulated.
don't know what your question is. I just looked at my phone for a second and I have somebody that responded my post saying I don't have the time to get into. Well, if you don't have time to get into, don't respond. Like what are you telling me? You don't have the time to respond? Just don't. But go ahead. Think what's the question that you could ask? Well, give me a hint as to what it is, and maybe I can help.
Uh, so speech writing. Speech
Okay.
writing is another sort of similar to ghostwriting.
Yes.
Businesses.
Except for, let's think of everybody knows that presidents have speechwriters. For let's just use that one person. So there's no dishonesty taking place. Everybody understands that this speech was not written by the president. They literally have people with titles, presidential speechwriter, and everyone knows it. So there's no deception taking place. The problem is when there's a deception taking place.
You know, I trust you. I'm really struggling to agree with you. I trust that you are correct,
But you
right?
shouldn't. You shouldn't just trust.
No, but
No, but you
it
shouldn't
may
trust it.
but it what you're saying, what I'm saying is that what you are saying to me makes sense. And if I look at it the way that you are looking at it, I agree with you, but I'm also struggling because on the other hand, while I can see that what you're saying makes sense and I agree with it, I'm also looking at it from the other angle, which is that people are not buying the sentence structure, they are buying the plot.
Uh-uh. In the case you're talking about, specifically that case, they're not buying a plot at all. They're buying an author's name.
Well, no, because she's an unknown,
But you
right?
said her no. Well, you said her name was big. That was what was going to help. That's what you told me. Why
In
else would
other
you care?
in other cases the
Yeah.
name is what sells. But in this specific case, she's an unknown. No one knows who she is. Her plot is going to stay the same. We're making adjustments to the speed at which things happen within the plot, right? We're changing sentence structure because some of the sentences are just like wildly inconsistent.
You are going
So
to take a book that sucks and a story that sucks and make it good. That
yes,
is not editing.
without changing the major structure of the plot, so the bones of the plot stay the same, the plot stays the same, the characters stay the same. This is the thing.
You're vastly expanding the plot. That's what you told me yesterday. You told me
Yes.
you're vastly expanding the plot. You said at the beginning of this that this book would be unrecognizable.
Yes.
You've told me that it sucks now and it's going to be good after.
Yes.
Yes, this is not just her writing a book and you guys editing it. Now, so Jim says in Hollywood, it's common to have uncredited script doctors, uncredited ad libs, etc. I don't know the degree to which that happens, but I can give another example. So Murray Rothbard, the libertarian, anarchist, economist, philosopher, he wrote a book called Ethics of Liberty. It's obvious that he drew heavily on Ayn Rand. Now, you cannot copyright ideas, so he's not breaking the law. But many of us think that it's unethical that he didn't give credit for the ideas that he took. How much more so when you're not giving credit and nobody's accepting credit when it's almost the entire thing? Why doesn't she do the rewrite? Because
Okay.
she sucks.
Wait, wait, wait,
That's
wait, wait, wait.
why.
Does this change the scenario? Does this change? We're gonna spend the whole episode just discussing.
You know what I feel like? I'm going to tell you, and this does not violate my not being mean thing. I'm not being mean and I'm not being sarcastic, but I
Audience,
have.
get ready
But
to vote in the chat.
no, but I have to do my job. What this reminds me of, I've had so many of these discussions with guys in prison where the entire conversation, it starts off with one question about their behavior, and then it constantly pivots looking for that one clause that would make it okay, when both the person and me know it's not happening, that it's not altering, that this is wrong, that what you're talking about is wrong, but you keep pivoting and pivoting to try to square a circle.
I don't feel like I'm pivoting. I feel like I'm providing additional context. Is there a difference? Okay.
With what? I'm looking. I was reading James Valiant, where
I
Rothbard wrote a book for Ron Paul. So Ron Paul has gained legendary status within the libertarian movement. I don't know how much of this is based on the book that Rothbard wrote for him. Is that correct? Is that right? I don't think so.
Okay, so Mr. This is what I mean about additional context. So Mr. Deagle says, "Why doesn't she do the rewrite?"
Because she sucks.
Wait. So what we've done is we've suggested a new structure. We've made suggestions. Like, we think that you should change this. We think that you should slow it down here, etc., etc. So she has gone. We've read the whole book, said we like this, but this is the new structure that we propose. This is how we think that the chapters should flow, etc., etc. But she's doing the rewrites. Does that make a difference?
No, yeah. So what? So you can come and tell me, hey, listen, this sucks. This is what you should write, and then I copy it, and that's okay because now I'm rewriting it.
Well, no,
You're telling her.
you're not copying anything because
Hold on.
she's still.
How much are you expanding the plot? Persephone, you said that this book is not recognizable any longer. Is it based solely on criticisms, or are you guys telling her what to write?
Okay, so I'm trying to think of like a way to describe this without giving away pieces of the plot, right?
No, but here's the thing. Let's go back to the beginning. You said this woman sucks as an author.
Yes.
You've said that no matter how much criticism you give, that doesn't change.
No.
You said she's undeterred by this criticism.
Yes.
Okay, so criticism alone is not making her a good writer.
No.
Okay. You've also said that you're editing syntax, grammar, sentence structure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You've also said that you're vastly expanding the plot to
Yes.
a point where not only is it not recognizable, but the book is actually good.
Yes.
Okay. You're going beyond merely editing. I don't care how much context you try to weave in here. You're changing the book in such a way that she simply is not capable of doing.
Yes.
And that is beyond mere editing. You are going to present her as if she's a better storyteller than what she actually is. Far better. You will not get around this. I'm sorry.
I don't. The thing is, I don't necessarily want to get around it. Right. This is why I said
Right? I love your accent. It is awesome.
rechtso.
What's that? What was that word?
Rechtso.
Yeah.
Right. So in Afrikaans.
Oh, nice.
So it's not necessarily that I want to get around what you're saying. I'm not trying to find a way to make it ethical. I'm just trying to understand because I have never thought of ghostwriting as unethical, right? Because of all of the reasons that I've given. So this wasn't necessarily me trying to say, oh, well, but I think it is. It's just me trying to
Okay.
get
Here's
more.
Okay. I have there's a simple question that you can ask yourself and that anybody can ask in this. We all know what editing is. Okay. Is what you're doing to this book giving an impression that somebody else did something that they did not do and it's going beyond mere editing?
But
There's no buts after that, Persephone. There's not.
The reason The reason I find this interesting is because it is not something that I would ever have considered unethical, even though once you explain, once you get into the reasons, I'm like, oh, that does make sense. That
Yeah,
does make sense
but
that
that's why we
that
have
would
the
be.
show, right? That's why we have the show. And that's why ethics is a serious topic because people in general, in my experience, don't give a lot of consideration to it. They just go along with their lives and what they've absorbed from the environment, and that usually works and it gets, gets people done because we are evolved beings, and had we not evolved to have somewhat decent structures that allow us to live, we would perish, right? But yet there's so much that is wrong and that it hasn't come right because we're beings of volitional consciousness that have choice and have to discover what's good for us and bad. That's why we need to discuss ethics. That's why people ought to read books on the subject and devote themselves to really figuring out the difference between right and wrong because there's so much that isn't obvious.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that this is such a common thing that I have always just gone, yeah. I mean, it's the ideas that people are buying, not the words. Then when you explain it or we talk about it, I'm like, oh, wait a second, this is fucked up, actually.
So the people here aren't interested in giving any money to have me do the philosophy test. Can we tell them what happened? You gave me a philosophy test today.
Yes. Okay, so this is actually great. This this is an experiment where you answer 30 questions and they are yes no statements and they are sort of connected but not really. It's 30 statements in a row and you agree or disagree. And at the end they tell you if there are any tensions in your philosophy. And the average is 29% of like ethical tensions. And we went through the test, and Michael scored 0%, no tensions, no like contradictions in his ethics at all. And I was genuinely gobsmacked. Genuinely.
Oh.
um no, it's actually really impressive, and I actually encourage the audience to go and do this quiz. It's very interesting. The website is philosophyexperiments.com. Um, it's great. There are a few that are really fun, and they will highlight, you know, errors in your thinking or places where you contradict yourself, and it's great.
I can't
But I
wait to
just thought
go check it out. I can't wait to check out the website beyond what you just gave me.
yeah, there are quite a few that are interesting. Um, there was one that I did that had to do with God and religion, and I'm not a religious person at all. And so I thought, oh, this will be easy. Um, but there were a few places where I had to bite the bullet, even though I'm pretty firm in my being non-religious. Um, that one is called Battleground God. If anybody is interested in visiting a philosophy experiments and doing this little test, it is very fun. Um, but yeah, zero. Anybody who goes and does this philosophical tension test, yes, Mr. Deagle, it is the philosophical health test. Post your percentage in
That's the
the
one I
in the.
just did?
That's the one you did, yeah.
All right. Awesome. 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 Okay. We are rapidly running out of time. So let me do a little advertising. You can check us out at patreon.com every day. It's / everyday ethics for our Patreon. You can also go to thecapitalistcorner.org. They don't have to put in the www, right? Why does everybody put that when it's not even necessary? I don't understand it.
It is necessary in some cases.
Okay. But it's not here. So, but you can do that. And also, please check out the awesome interview, the awesome discussion that Jim Valiant and I had on the rational egoist. That is available right now on YouTube or on Spotify. Very, very good discussion. Thank you all for joining us today. Persephone, thank you for a great topic and a lively discussion. And we will be back here tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Capitalist Corner channel with Everyday Ethics. Thank you so much. Until tomorrow, be ethical.